I should have left the island the moment I realized someone was entering my rental while I slept. But the worst part wasn't that someone came in, it's that they left something behind, something they expected me to find. My name's Daniel R. I'm from Tacoma, Washington. And last summer I took a 7-day vacation to Oahu, Hawaii. I booked a cheap Airbnb near Kailua Beach, the kind of place with woven wall art and a tiny balcony that smelled like sunscreen and salt water. My plan was simple: swim, eat, sleep, repeat. It was supposed to be the most relaxing week of my life. The first 2 days were normal. I grabbed a plate lunch from L&L Hawaiian Barbecue, walked the beach, floated in the water until my fingers wrinkled. The only odd thing was the feeling that the house didn't feel empty when I came back at night. Nothing obvious, just this stale warmth inside the living room, like someone had been sitting there a minute ago. I told myself the island humidity was messing with me. On the third night, I noticed something small. My suitcase zipper was open an inch. I never leave it like that. I always close it completely. I'm paranoid about bugs getting in. But I shrugged it off. Maybe I was rushing earlier. Maybe I forgot it was vacation. I wasn't supposed to overthink. The second odd thing happened the next morning. My sunglasses were moved. Not stolen, moved. I always leave them on the counter near the sink, but that morning they were on the couch, folded neatly on top of the throw pillow. It felt intentional, like someone wanted me to notice. I checked the windows, the doors, the tiny balcony. Nothing. I told myself, it's fine, you're alone, you're tired, don't ruin your own trip. That night I went to a small bar near the beach, had 2 Mai Tais, walked home under the streetlights, listening to the palm trees rustle. The house looked normal when I unlocked it. Too normal. Perfectly still. I went to bed with the fan on low, and sometime after midnight, I woke up to a tapping sound. Not loud, just deliberate. It was coming from the living room. I sat up, heart pounding, listening. When I finally got the courage to check, nothing was there. But the balcony door, the lock was turned halfway. Not open, just off-center. Like someone had started turning it, then stopped when they heard me moving. I barely slept. The next morning, I found something on the kitchen counter that made my blood run cold. A Polaroid photograph. Face down. I didn't own a Polaroid. The Airbnb didn't have one either. I lifted the photo slowly. It was a picture of me, taken inside the house. While I slept, I could see the fan blades above my bed, blurred from motion. My arm was hanging off the side, and at the bottom edge of the frame, a shadow, not a shape I could define. Just the suggestion of someone standing very, very close. I dropped the photo like it burned me. I called the Airbnb host immediately, trying to keep my voice steady. She sounded confused, genuinely confused, and insisted she had no spare key except one locked in her office miles away. She said she had no idea who could have entered. I packed my things in under 10 minutes. I didn't even zip the suitcase fully. I drove straight to a hotel in Honolulu and checked in under a different name. My middle name first, last name only. That afternoon, in the hotel lobby, I got a text from an unknown number. No message, just an image. It was another Polaroid, a picture of my half-zipped suitcase, taken in the exact moment I had left the Airbnb. Someone had been inside while I was packing, behind me. I didn't respond. I blocked the number. I reported everything to the police, but they told me they'd look into it. I never heard back. I cut my trip short and flew home the next morning. I've had trouble sleeping ever since. Because sometimes, randomly at night, my phone buzzes. I check it, expecting a new number, a new photo, but nothing shows up. Not in notifications, not in messages, not anywhere. But twice now. When the screen lights up, I swear I see a faint shadow behind my reflection. And every time I go to bed, I wonder if someone followed me back from Hawaii. Someone patient, someone who likes taking pictures, someone who's just waiting for me to sleep again. I still hear it sometimes. That wet, breathy whisper coming from the other side of the hotel balcony door, the one that kept saying my name, even though no one on the island knew who I was. And the part that really keeps me up at night, I opened the door. Someone was there. Someone who should not have known I was staying in that room. My name is Brandon. I'm 27, and last summer, I took my first real vacation in years. 1 week in Honolulu, Hawaii. I booked a small ocean view room at a slightly aging hotel near Waikiki Beach. Nothing fancy, the kind of place with flickering hallway lights and that old building smell, like sunscreen mixed with mildew and warm recycled air. It was supposed to be relaxing. Morning swims, spam musubi from the ABC store, and quiet nights sitting on the balcony with a cold drink while the waves hit the shore. But from the first night, something felt off. The sliding balcony door didn't seal all the way. Even closed, it made this faint tapping noise, like someone lightly knocking with their fingernail. Old buildings make weird sounds. No big deal. The second day, I took a long walk through Ala Moana Park. When I came back, I noticed something small but strange. My toothbrush wasn't where I'd left it. I always place it horizontally on the right side of the sink, but now it was angled, pointing toward the bathroom door. I assumed housekeeping moved it, didn't think much of it. But that night, the tapping at the balcony door got louder. Slightly uneasy. It wasn't windy. The palm trees outside weren't moving, but the tapping continued. Slow, soft, like someone rhythmically brushing their nail against the glass. I tried ignoring it, put on my headphones, watched a movie. Around 1:30 a.m., I finally decided to check. I slid the door open a crack and looked out. Nothing, just the humid air and the glow of the streetlights below. I went to bed. But at around 3:10 a.m., I woke up to a whisper. It came from the balcony, a quiet, breathy voice saying, "Bran, Don." I froze. I thought maybe I was dreaming, or maybe someone in the next room had their door open. Thin walls, right? But then it said my name again, clearer. "Brandon, open it." My heart was pounding. I grabbed the flashlight app on my phone and shined it toward the balcony door. The tapping had stopped. The whisper didn't. I called the front desk, tried to sound calm while asking if someone could come up and check the balcony area. The guy on duty said he'd send security, but it might take a few minutes. So I sat there in the dark, staring at the door, waiting. About 2 minutes later, the whisper stopped abruptly, and something slid under my door. Not the balcony door, the hallway door. I got up slowly and approached it. There was a small folded piece of paper lying on the carpet, like someone pushed it under with their fingertips. I unfolded it. It was a simple handwritten note. "Wrong room, not your balcony." I felt my stomach drop, because if it wasn't my balcony, then the whisper I heard was coming from the inside of my room. I turned around, shining my phone's light across the walls, the dresser, the curtains. My hands were shaking so badly the beam was flickering all over the place. The bathroom door was cracked open slightly, only about an inch. I hadn't left it that way. I slowly reached out and pushed it open the rest of the way. Nothing, no one. Just the toothbrush on the counter, now angled the opposite direction, pointing toward the shower. Security finally knocked on my door. A big guy with a flashlight came in and checked everything. He didn't find anything, of course. He suggested I might have been hearing someone outside on another balcony. I didn't argue. He left. I didn't sleep again that night. The next morning, I checked out early. Didn't even finish the week. Booked the next flight back to California. But here's what keeps bothering me. 2 days after I got home, I got an email from the hotel manager. A polite note informing me that they had found an item left behind in my room. Attached was a photo. It was a small, folded piece of paper. My name was written on it, in the same handwriting as the note, only this one said, "Found you," and every once in a while, around 3 in the morning, I still hear that same wet whisper coming from my apartment balcony. But I live on the 5th floor now. There's no way for anyone to be standing out there. I opened the drawer for sunscreen and found a Polaroid on top of my t-shirts, me asleep, taken from the doorway. The timestamp on my phone said 2:47 a.m. I was sure I'd been awake. My name's Ryan K. I flew to Oahu for a week off. I booked a small Airbnb near Kailua Beach. Palm trees, a tiny lanai, a fridge that hummed louder than it should. I wanted sun and quiet. I wanted to forget work emails for a few days. I ate spam musubi from a food truck, walked past the ABC store, and even grabbed a 7-Eleven Slurpee one hot afternoon. It felt normal. The first odd thing was almost laughable. On night 2, I came back late from dinner and found my sandals lined up neatly at the door. I always leave them thrown by the bed. I straighten them and blame jet lag. Guests clean up sometimes. No big deal. The second thing was small, but it stayed with me. My sunglasses were on the kitchen counter, folded and placed on a napkin. I always leave them on the nightstand. Someone had moved them. I checked the locks. Everything was locked. I told myself I'd probably set them down and forgotten. By the fourth night, the feeling changed. I woke to a soft sound like a phone camera shutter coming from the living room. I put on my shirt and walked out. The couch was empty. The lamp was on. A single Polaroid lay on the coffee table face down. I picked it up with my heart in my throat. It was a picture of me, curled on my side, mouth open, the TV glow across my face. The corner of the print had the exact sand pattern that matched the rug by the door. I locked every door and window and called the host. She was sympathetic. No spare key, she said. I only handle guests through the app. She suggested it might be housekeeping, but housekeeping would have knocked. She offered to refund a night. I declined. I couldn't sleep. The next morning, I found another Polaroid tucked under the sugar jar. This one showed the bed from a lower angle. In the image, the fan blades were blurred and there was a shadow at the doorway, just a dark edge of something. I started to feel watched in a way that didn't make sense on a beach trip. I drove to a police substation and showed them the photos. They took a report and walked me around the block. No signs of forced entry. No security cameras on the street. The officer suggested someone might have a key from a previous rental. He said they'd checked municipal records. I left feeling ridiculous and more vulnerable. That night, I resolved to stay awake until sunrise. I drank coconut water and scrolled through old texts. At 2:45 a.m., my phone buzzed with an unknown number. No message, just an image. I opened it, my suitcase sitting by the door, half zipped. The photo was taken from the hallway. The angle was precise, like someone had been standing there, watching me pack. My hands went numb. I called the host again and insisted she come with the police. She arrived, pale, and swore she had no keys. The officers searched but found nothing. No prints, no sign anyone had entered while I was there. They offered to move me to a hotel, which I did at dawn. I slept badly in a new bed. I told myself leaving would close the chapter. 2 nights after I flew home, my phone buzzed with a photo from an unknown number. It was a Polaroid scan, the same style. The shot was of the condo's lanai at dusk. On the railing, tied to a slat, was a small strip of fabric, sun-faded, knotted. In the photo, the knot was new. In the corner, someone had written, in pen, "Found you." I never got a follow-up from the police. The host apologized, said she changed locks and contact cleaners. My friends said I should be grateful it was only a scare. But sometimes at night I wake and check the closet, not because I expect to find a person there, but because the idea that someone stood in my doorway, patient enough to wait for me to sleep, it refuses to leave. And every now and then I find a tiny scrap of faded fabric in my laundry. No explanation, no stain, just a knot like the one in the photo. I throw it away, but I always leave the lights on, because I don't know if he was taking pictures or leaving me a trail to follow.